All right, my friends, welcome, gang, to the end of the week. We are still with Patanjali. We are still working through the Yoga Sutras, and I mean that in the still life of a normal yogi trying to work his way in the world. Ooh, what does that all mean? I don't know. I'm making it up as I go. All right, it's the end of the week. What I wanted to do was I just wanted us to think about some very practical applications for how some of this might play out in our world. This idea of the Puruṣa, or the capital S Seer, the Seer inside, the dṛṣṭā, consciousness that exists within us at the deeper level. If you recall back to our whole conversation about the kleshas, the raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, that's the pull of our pleasure, the aversion towards intensity, and especially towards pain. Let's just see if we can apply some practices a little bit. We need to think about how our mind will distort reality and tell us ourselves stories. And this is part of the chitta vritti, or the whirlpools of the mind stuff. That's part of the pratyaya, which is the mental fluctuations that we have. And so we need to think about working in some pauses in our stressful moments. And then we need to figure about disciplined or dedicated practices like yoga and breath work, pranayama we might call it, to create some space physically, internally in the body, but also then have that space, the idea that we cultivate positivity within the body, within the mind system, outside of our times of stress. But before we move on, a word from our sponsor. Yeah, you know it's me. 2026 February, I really want you to think about planning some time in San Pancho, Mexico. It's a beautiful time to be out of the cold. I'm going to be there all month with the wonderful Andrea Ziegler. And I'll tell you what, there is going to be a great experience choreographed for you. Not by me, but by Ziggy Moves. And we will do yoga, we will have movement, and we will have good food and sunsets. So plan for it now. I'll keep you posted with more details. So let's get back to these practical applications for this yoga stuff. When I think about specific areas in my life that I have been working on, and I want to talk about stress management for a minute, I think there's something that we might call the observer's pause. It's this idea that it's easy for me to start to get wrapped up in my stress. I start to get cycled up. I get ramped up in some of my gunas, rajasic action over drinking coffee because I'm a little stressed and I want to get clear, but then it gets me a little bit agitated and I get that kind of nervous, edgy quality in my communication. Well, I need to take a moment when I'm stressed, when I'm noticing, and pause. But here's the kicker. This is where the 20th Sutra comes in. The only way I can do that is if there's a consciousness, if there's a seer that is seeing something in me, in my actions that are not useful in the moment. Somehow inserting the pause, the observer's pause, is going to really help us. If you do nothing else, just pause and take one big inhale and exhale the air out with a ah. This happens a lot when I'm driving. It's like, take that pause, the observer's pause. Take the breath pause. It's almost a pranayama practice. Inhale deeply, fill the lungs, feel the expansion in the lungs, and then release the jaw, release the shoulders, and audibly exhale. If you have the faculty within you at this moment, then you can also add the question, who is it who's feeling this stress? And we're always going to have stressors in our lives. And as long as we have the breath, we have a tool that's always immediately with us, always immediately available. But it starts with a pause. Now let me just take this to some relationship stuff, because, this is where I can get triggered very easily. I don't know about you guys. And, really, our relationships, they are a practice playground, aren't they? I mean, this is the place that we really get to practice. This is the place where we get to apply the lessons that we've learned on and off the mat. Now, again, if you're like me, a lot of the conflict that I have in a relationship has to do with some unconscious reaction that's driven by my old conditioning. It's not me working from that best self, the capital S self, the seer inside. Often when I'm in conflict, it's me projecting my fears very unconsciously into whatever the situation is. And I am conscious of our time today. So I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to defer a bit more of this conversation until next week. But here's what I want you to do for the weekend. I just want you to think about this. Is there a way that you can just pause a little bit when you're feeling amped up, when you're feeling a little bit of an increase in stress, or even when things just aren't quite working out how you want them to? When you're feeling that, can you insert the pause with the breath? And by doing that, allow a little bit more space, both in the body and the mind, for a deeper, capital S self seer solution. Again, like the Gospel of St. Thomas said, bring forth what is within you. And that's what I want you to do this weekend. Put your pause in there, exhale, breathe, release, and bring forth the seer solution from within. Om. Peace out. Post-show note. If you're finding yourself losing a bit of motivation, a little bit off track, or just lacking a little bit of direction with your practices, hit me up, jefflichty.com, on the contact page. Let's get you sorted out. We'll move forward in a bright, positive, new direction. Peace out.